Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to We Know Texas Vino. We are so excited to be here. My name is Michael.
That's Will.
And you know what, Will? I think we need a little vivacious attitude in this podcast.
I think you're right. I mean, we're missing something.
Who's that
here.
girl over there?
I don't know. Some stranger over there.
Hey, guys.
Hey, it's Jen. Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. And this is We Know Texas Vino.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, Will, we're back at it, buddy. How you doing?
Sir. Man, I'm doing
Good to see you
great.
again. I see you have your We Know Texas Vino shirt on.
Yeah, and I'm being buzzed by
Yeah,
fly.
you get nails like a World War II fighter over there trying to get your head. So a little bug after you. But yeah, I was here not that long ago, actually, here at the location right now with Erica, and it was really fun. We met Steve and Karen and had a great time. So we're really excited to be back here at Steve's Wine Bar here in Denton, Texas.
Awesome. I've been here a couple of times before in the past, and it's a really nice little place. Yeah. And actually, I think I spent $100 on a bottle back there in the back. We went to the back and spent $100, and I looked at it. Yeah, it was something I liked. I think it was a Tempranillo.
Wow, that sounds well. We're drinking a Tempranillo right now.
That's right.
Which one are we drinking right now?
So right now we are drinking Lonesome Vine.
Yes,
Tempranillo.
I know. We love those folks out there.
Love those folks.
Vine. Yeah, that's
Christy
awesome.
and Andrew are amazing people.
Yeah. Well, welcome back to We Know Texas Vino. This is episode 28. Can you believe we're back at 28 already? We just had a great time down in Fredericksburg with a few episodes, but we're back here in Denton, Texas, actually the heart of Denton. We're kind of right next to downtown Denton, which is very historical, and it's just an amazing place. Lots of cool entrepreneurs and cool creative shops, and we're here at a very creative shop in itself right now at Steve's Wine Bar. And so welcome, Steve. You're here with us.
Steve.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to a fun conversation and drinking some Texas wine.
Well, it's kind of a unique episode because we're at a wine bar and he showcases a lot of wines from around the world, but he has a lot of Texas wines, but also very knowledgeable about wine. I think we're going to learn a lot today, Will.
Yeah. I hope so.
That's the goal always.
Well, I actually had a compliment the other day off of our Facebook page.
Okay.
That one of the ladies learned so much from our podcast, from the education part of our podcast.
Yes.
That she loves drinking wine more now.
Well, that's important.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And what Steve might not know is that we've reached how many countries now? We're in like 10 countries or I think 13 countries now. We've reached out to.
Yeah.
And we're on the cusp of breaking the 100 mark for top podcasts for entertainment and food in the country right now, which is pretty cool. So
our besides the U.S., we got Mexico, Canada, and Germany.
Well, the one that blew your mind was the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
The Isle of Man up in
we had a random
England.
Isle of Man just show up on there. Like, where is this? I actually had to pull out the map to find out where it was.
That's awesome.
I can see that, yes.
That's beautiful.
I don't know where that is either.
I was kind of curious.
There you go. Trivia.
I was kind of wondering if there was an Isle of Woman.
Well, Isle of Man is up in the English Channel area up in there. So it's kind of a cool geographical question for sure. Well, Steve, thank you for inviting us to your great shop here today. I've been here several times. I love the ambience. I love what's going on here. But I know you're awesome wife Karen, and you are heading on a vacation here pretty soon. I'm super happy. Are you going to be drinking wine on your vacation?
Always.
What a silly question,
That's a
right?
rhetorical question.
That's exactly right.
Well, that's beautiful. Well, real quick, let's do some house rules real quick. Will, let's talk real quick about our sponsors, and then we'll get after this.
Yeah. So are you familiar with the Texas Wine Lover?
I am.
So Amy and Jeff are an amazing bunch of people. They've done a fabulous job on that. And so they're actually one of our sponsors. And so what's your favorite thing about the app? I mean, I hate to throw you on the spot like that.
That was on the bus.
I use the app. I know it.
Okay. So some of the amazing features on that app is you can go there and plan your wine trip. Let's say you're going to be in East Texas and you want to visit as many wineries as you can over there. So you go there and you go to the website and you plan it all out, and then you can put it onto your phone and it will map it all out for you to maximize your wine drinking time.
And in addition to that, they have a website as well. We can't forget that. And so I know Amy gave us the look when we didn't mention it beforehand. So we love those guys. We did a podcast with them, and that'll be published here pretty soon. But that's a great application. And Will, who's our second?
So we also have Texas Wine Club. Have you heard of this one?
If that's the one that keeps popping up on my Facebook.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So they are an amazing group of people there. So if you really want to try a little sample of different taste of Texas, that's the people to go to, because they do the best of the best Texas wine, and they make it a subscription. You can get, I think it's either half a case, case, or 2 cases of wine. And if you actually go to the website now and you sign up and use the word We Know Texas Vino, all one word, you get 50% off your first shipment.
Nice.
Which
Yeah.
is not horrible.
Nice.
That's good.
Not horrible
And we love
at all.
those guys. High enthusiasm,
Yes.
great intelligence, and a lot of knowledge when it comes to wines. And now, of course, they're specializing in Texas wines. So we love those guys, right?
Yeah,
so thank
love
you to
them.
all those sponsors for sure. So let's get after this. A little nuts and bolts now, a little meats and potatoes. We get to interview this guy sitting to my
Yeah.
left, which is pretty cool. Well, Steve, thank you again for your invite. I wish Karen was here. The last time I was here, I had a really fun time listening to she and my wife, Erica, talk. She is as feisty as my wife. And isn't it good we have those feisty ladies in our life?
Yeah, many times it's really nice. Yes. I love spice.
That can be argued sometimes.
Well, it keeps us on our toes, but also keeps us even keeled, right?
That's exactly
Yes.
right.
So, Steve, you are the proprietor here. Tell us about your location here. Tell us about what you've done here. How long have you been here? And just tell us about this amazing wine bar.
Okay, it's kind of an interesting experience. We started here in lovely downtown Denton, Texas, and we're just a block off of the historic square. We started in 2016, really small location, really focused on trying to provide a fun, relaxed environment for people to come and drink wine. Karen and I, we visited lots of wine bars, lots of wineries, and there are some we just absolutely loved because when we walked in the door, it had, using my air quotes here, a cheers feel.
right.
You know, you walk in, they know your name. Every time you walk in, somehow, some way, they remember us. And when we got into the wine bar business, we decided we wanted to have that same feeling. Super relaxed. I don't care necessarily where you're from, what your background is. I'm not even really worried too much about if you're in jeans and flip-flops and a t-shirt, because guess what? That's what I'm wearing today. I'm totally cool, totally chill. And we want to invite anybody in, try not to be pretentious, even though we've got some amazing wines here. You made a comment, you had a $100 bottle of wine originally. Well, you know, we don't sell a lot of real high-end wines, but we just started a luxury pour program that is focused on wines that are $150 and above
Mm-hmm.
for people to come in and sample by the ounce. So that's kind of a cool little program. But yeah, you know, our whole goal here in Denton was just to make a fun, relaxed, open environment, try all sorts of different wines. We have a wine club, so we're constantly bringing
Nice.
in 8 to 10 new wines every month.
Nice.
On average, we've got about 250 different wines by the bottle available, from, you know, champagne, sparkling wines, red, white, you name it, all over the world. And we always try to keep several Texas wines available for people that are looking for that aspect of a wine bar, because many places you go here in the wine bar world, you don't get Texas wine.
That's why I was interested when I walked through your amazing room back there when I was here just last time, or maybe it was 2 times ago. I noticed he had some Texas wines there. And I'm like, aha, the light bulb went off. And now I'm doing not air quotes, I'm doing the light bulb above my head, right?
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, he and she, Karen probably as well, and of course your wine supervisor. At least you understand that the Texas wines are out there. So I'm really proud of you for at least incorporating that into your protocol.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's always interesting when I look back on the history of our wine club. We used to do themes, meaning the theme would be related to a geographic environment or a style of wine. You know, if you like this, then try that. And there would be times where we would do an all Texas wine club month.
Nice.
That's
And I, you know, some of my wine club members go, yeah, I don't want to be part of that. And I go, well, why not? Well, I don't like Texas wine. I said, you haven't had good Texas
There
wine.
you go. There you
So
go.
think about what we do here. You know, we taste. First off, we ask the vendors, the wineries, to bring us their very best, what they feel is their best wine. So during a month, we might taste through about 100 different wines.
Mhm.
And out of those 100 wines, we're going to bring in 8
Right.
Wow.
of what we feel are the best. So I always tell our customers, it's like, if you're going to come in and drink Texas wine, I hope that you appreciate what we've gone through to bring you the best of the best.
Right.
And if you don't like it, we'll find something else.
Right.
Normally, people love it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I ran across a lady a couple months ago, and she came into a winery I was working at the time, and she's like, I don't like Texas wine. I was like, well, what kind of wine do you like? She goes, I like California wine. And I was like, okay. She goes, well, I'm from California. And I'm like, okay, so you don't like Texas wine because it's not California wine. She goes, correct. I said, all right. So me drinking Texas wine, if I go to California, there's a very good chance I'm not going to like California wine. Why? Because I grew up, my taste buds are fitted for Texas wines. And I told her, I said, your palate is set up for California wines. And I said, so what happens is because you're so used to the way the flavor, the notes, everything with that is, and you come drink Texas wine, it's going to be completely different. It's day and night. So you can't compare that. It's like comparing apples to oranges. And I explained that to her. And the minute I explained that to her, she kind of like, at first, stood off. Her actual husband kind of laughed and walked away. And he's like, score, you know?
Yeah.
But a light bulb kind of went off in her head. And I think it kind of helped her realize that she needs to change her palate, because there are a lot of people that have drank a lot of California wine, but have come to Texas and drink Texas wine. It's like, oh, I don't like this. Well, it's you got to retrain your palate because you're so used to that. Change your thought, change your process of everything, and try it and reevaluate it. Yes, you may like Cab Sauv over in California, but you don't like it here in Texas. Well, try Tempranillo.
Try something different.
Try something different. You just need to find that one that's hit your taste buds properly.
Well, is that maybe, Steve, part of your philosophy here? Because I'm sure one of my questions is kind of your philosophy overall. But if people don't like a particular wine, you have so many other options. How do you connect with a customer or a couple, and when they try something they don't like, and how is that part of your philosophy to have them maybe sample different things to find something that really is appealing to their palate?
Well, that's interesting. Our wine club has really allowed us to bring a variety of wines to the forefront for our customers to engage in. And we do find that. We'll have what I feel is 8 amazing wines for them to come in and taste. And there'll always be that one wine within that group of wines that somebody doesn't like. And it's not always the same wine.
Right.
It's I don't even know how to put it. It's just everybody's got their own
Mm-hmm.
profile, their flavor profile. And I'm going to tell a story, if you don't mind, where
Please.
When I bought the wine bar, the guy that I bought the wine bar from told me, I just want to let you know, people here in Denton only like California wines. Don't try to sell old world wines to them. Don't try to sell Texas wines to them. So I took that mentality because I felt that, okay, he knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for several years. So I ended up in the wine club deciding to try a blind taste. And in that blind tasting, that was the entire month, nobody got to know what they were drinking. Now, there were tasting notes about what each wine was about, but it talked zero about where it was from.
That's outstanding.
Just they knew it was Cabernet,
Mhm.
or they knew these are the flavors you're supposed to get out of it. And so one particular month, I did a blind tasting where they knew they were going to get as an example, a red blend from California and a red blend from France, and a Syrah from Washington and a Shiraz from Australia. But
Right.
we did that type of thing. But what was fascinating is before they got to see what they really liked, they had to choose which bottles they were taking home.
Oh.
No looking at the labels.
Nice.
None of that. They just had to say that those are the 2 I'm taking. And more of my customers took home old world wines. They said, I never thought I would like a French wine or an Italian wine. Or
Interesting.
whatever. And when they got to just completely engage in the aroma and the flavor and get rid of the stigma that they built up within themselves,
Mhm.
that I don't like X, that all of a sudden it's like, oh, their eyes, the light bulb went on and their eyes opened up and they said, oh my gosh, I need to try more of this.
Yep.
And it's been the same way with the Texas wines. Whenever we've done something, we did a blind tasting here, back in April, and the wine that everybody liked before we shared it with everybody was a Sangiovese out of East Texas. And everybody's going, oh my God, that is so good. And everybody bought wine that night.
What winery was it from?
That's from Val de la Pace.
Oh, listen there. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was really fun and shocking, actually, to everybody in the room
Mhm.
that's what they chose.
And that's what the Texas Wine Club guys do. They do a lot of blind tastings like that.
Right.
They'll set up events for blind tastings, and they'll bring in old world California, Washington, Texas, and mix them all together. you don't even know what they've got until you start drinking it. And then for the most part of it, most people pick the Texas wine and don't realize it.
Yeah. In fact, we have a podcast set up where Jen, who is our cohort here, she's not here today because she is studying for her big testing coming up pretty soon.
Yep.
But she's setting up a blind tasting. We're going to do on a podcast. We're going to bring in wines from France and from Argentina and from some other places and try those blind tasting and have some fun. But we're hearing this across the board, Steve, that when people are doing the blind tastings like our Texas Wine Club, and of course you hear that Texas wines are holding up just brilliantly.
Yes.
And in addition to that, they're winning awards all over the world right now.
I'll tell you what, this Tempranillo we're drinking right now would fit just nicely on anybody's by the glass menu. It would be really super tasty. I don't know if it's available in mass production, but
Well,
it's super nice.
I can give you Christy
Shout out.
and Andrew's information.
Yeah.
You can give them a call.
Shout out to those folks. Yeah. Yeah. We're excited about that. Well, cool. Let's get back to grassroots a little bit here. I mean, you are here now, you and your wife. I mean, where did you come from? What was kind of your profession beforehand? And then how did you get inspired, or you got bitten by the bug, obviously? How did you fall into this world?
Boy, that is a long story.
We have a 1 hour podcast.
Okay. No, it's interesting. We had both of us had our own separate careers, nothing relating to hospitality. I will say, back in my early life, my very first job was a dishwasher in a restaurant at 16 years old, and then I moved into cooking and doing some chefing and what have you. But I was always in the kitchen. I never did anything on the front side, never did anything with the bar, never did anything with the wait staff. So I was just the guy in the back room making great food. Now, fast forward from Wisconsin, where I grew up, to California, LA, and hoping to kind of break into the music scene because I graduated with a music performance degree in trumpet. And I was hoping really to kind of make it into the recording scene, studio scene out there. But kind of struggling through that process, trying to make those right connections, we started a family, and I had to find a real job. I couldn't just be depending on a few $100 a month,
Right.
Whatever I was doing musically.
Your gig.
Exactly. And so I ended up in the computer biz, primarily on sales, business development. That's what brought me here to Texas. Was the company I was working for. It transferred me here in '91, and I pretty much just stayed in the professional sales environment. Karen had come out of an environment where she was doing support over here at the Denton State School, which is now the Denton State Assisted Living facility here. And the grand scheme of things was that we weren't really into wine.
Mm-hmm.
We drank it, but we didn't know much about it.
Right.
Fast forward a few years, and '97, we go over to France, over to Europe. My parents have been living there, and we toured around with them for about 3 weeks. And we drank wine morning, noon, and night. And we never got drunk. We never had a hangover. We're going, oh, I guess this is what good wine's all about.
Yeah, there you go.
Fast forward a few more months. It's our anniversary. We go out to Napa, and we spend some time out there drinking really good wines. And all of a sudden, our palates changed from going to the grocery store and picking up that $6 or $7 bottle of wine to have with dinner. And we upped our game. We started really enjoying wine. Then we got into inviting some of our best friends to come over and have dinner with us. And we would ask them to bring a part of the meal. So I would make the main course, whatever that would be. I'd let them know what it is. And then I'd say, okay, you're in charge of the salad. You're in charge of the appetizer. You're in charge of this. You're in charge of that. And each couple had to research and bring a wine or wines that paired with that course.
That's really fun.
That's fun.
And so we started out with 3 or 4 couples. It eventually grew to about 6 couples. People were always saying, when can we do it again? When can we do it again? So we did it once a month. And now we fast forward to, spring of 2016, and the company I'm working for decides to make a change in life, and they don't need me anymore as their VP of sales. And so I'm already heading down the path to stay in technology and, sales in that environment. And all my friends said, no, you should do something with wine. And my first vision was to create a Texas wine tasting room. So here in Denton, Texas, the light rail comes up to an area that back in 2016, there was a fairly new building there, and it had about 4,000 square feet available to rent. And I was going to create what I thought would be a really cool tasting room where I'd invite wineries from all over Texas to come up and do a 4-day event with me, 4 or 5 wineries, and we would advertise and promote them all over the DFW area. People could hop on the train and come up Thursday through Sunday, taste wine, and then go home. And I thought that was such a great idea. I still think it's a great idea.
It is. It's actually a great idea.
But the bottom line is the real estate guy I was working with said, I know a guy selling a wine bar. You want to talk to him? I go, sure, why not? Not really what I want to do, but one thing leads to another, and I'm buying a wine bar. And so here I am in
Wow.
Denton, Texas, selling wine, having a good time.
You know,
And you're doing great.
Yeah, you're doing a great job at this, and it's amazing what you've accomplished in that whole time. Which is kind of funny is everybody that we've talked to in the wine industry so far, everybody was in another job, namely technology of some sort.
IT or some sort of corporate position or
Yes.
something. And you come with, well, for you, Steve, it sounds like maybe they made a decision for you instead of you making that decision, but it was actually a beautiful moment in your life where you got to pursue your happiness with wine and do something awesome here. So everything kind of fell into place. Would you say?
At this point in the game?
I mean, really did. I mean, what are the odds this wine bar was available? What are the odds that, you didn't rent that 4,000 square foot, facility to do and so it all has worked out beautifully for you guys. So what are some of the success stories you've had so far here? If you want to, and then in addition to that, this is the tough one. What are some of the hurdles of owning a small business and continually daily? I think you're open every day of the week maybe, but how do you do that?
Man, that's a great question. When we look back on how we got started, it wasn't something we had planned for. We didn't have, as they say a lot of times in most industries, but specifically I hear this a lot in the wine industry, is how do you make $1 million or how do you make a lot of money? In the wine industry, have a lot more money in order to do that. And we didn't do that. We literally just dipped into what little money we had sitting in the bank, sold a few stocks that we had, and we just dove in. And she and I worked it pretty much full time for the first 2 years.
Okay.
And with the help of some friends that said, hey, look, on the busy nights, just call us up, come up, we'll come up, and we'll just work for tips.
That's
And
great.
that was so cool.
Right.
So it helped us get that ball rolling. And then when we got to that stage where it's like, okay, end of 2 years, and actually take a step back, when I signed the lease on the place, I just did a 2-year lease. Because I said, I don't want to be stuck in 5-year lease or longer if I don't like this or it's not working or whatever the circumstances might be. I wanted to be very cautious. And the great thing is at the end of 2 years, things were going great. We were looking to maybe expand the facility we were in. There wasn't a lot of availability, but there were some things we could do which would require some restructuring of the inside. And I'll say, I was disappointed that the owners said no, but in the grand scheme of things, it was good they did, because at that time we were able to move and get a bigger place. And in our old location, we couldn't have a patio just because of the way the building was. Here we've got 2 patios. We've got a much bigger space that allows us to do a lot more activities, special events, private events, you name it. It's just
really cool.
really effective for us in moving just a half a block away from where we were.
Yeah, I think I'd asked you last time I was here, where were you beforehand? I think you were literally just across the street over here, right?
That's right.
That small rural area here, and now you're in this great location.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And it didn't occur to me until you just said it, but you have 2 patios, one on each side.
Yep.
How beautiful is that?
That's really nice.
Oh my gosh. If people want shade in the evening, they head over there, and the opposite, that's pretty cool.
If you're cold, go on one side. If you're hot, go on the other side.
That's right, man. You've got options.
Right.
That's beautiful. Well, I have a couple more really important questions, and I think this is so important. One of the reasons I'm really excited to be here, but you survived COVID. You survived the pandemic. And when I was here last time, and I'm sorry if I'm being redundant, Steve, but this was a really cool story for me to hear last time, and I want to hear it. I want our listeners to hear it. But you survived, and you made a major pivot from a business perspective. Do you mind? Do you recall that story, or were you drinking a lot of wine?
Oh, yeah. No, well, yes and yes.
But I thought that was fascinating because you come from maybe corporate life and IT world and that sort of thing. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And so I love it when I see entrepreneurs thrive and win when adversity is right in front of their face. To me, this story is important because I think that's exactly what you did. Can you maybe talk about some of those shifts you made when COVID hit? Because that was probably pretty scary for you and your wife.
Yeah, actually, you have to set it up even a couple of years before that.
Okay.
Because, again, coming out of the technology world, I was selling, at the time, cloud-based software for HR, payroll, benefits. And so I understood the need for a consolidated solution that could help a business thrive easily and effectively. And when I bought the wine bar, I had a PC-based point of sale system.
Okay.
I had a spreadsheet that tracked inventory. I had a whole separate system to manage my wine club. Everything was disparate. My email was going out separately. My text messaging was going out. Everything was separate. I had a website that I wasn't even able to manage because I had to hire a professional to build it, but I couldn't go in and edit it or maneuver data on a timely basis. So I always had to call them and say, hey, we've got this going on. Can you make these changes for me? So I guess towards the end of 2017, now we opened in 2016, end of 2017, I started looking at cloud-based solutions. And I ended up choosing a product called Wine Direct. It's actually for direct-to-consumer solutions, wineries primarily. So it had everything in it that I needed. It had the point of sale system that I could use here in the bar. It had the inventory control. It had ease of use to be able to go ahead and put in all the products I needed, maneuver those. It was really effective for me. But probably the biggest value play when it comes to what we experienced in 2020 and 2021 was the fact that we had a direct-to-consumer website.
Okay.
So all of my inventory originally was set up to be sold in the bar, right? Well, this website solution or the Wine Direct solution had the ability for me to simply essentially change the inventory to the website, and now all of those products are available for people to buy online. So I saw a lot of my counterparts out there that didn't have that, and they're just promoting their products through Facebook and say, call me if you want to buy any of this. We were able to literally put together a dynamic piece where customers could go online, order whatever they wanted to, and come over and pick it up.
That's
We're
awesome.
not licensed to ship or to deliver. So they literally just came over and we put it in their trunk and they drive off, a case of wine here, a case of wine there, special deals. I work with my vendors. I brought in really great blends of products. I don't know, just when I look back on it and when it came time to doing all my reporting to the government and try to get money out of the funds that were available, I did not have nearly the drop-off in revenue that a lot of other businesses did because we were able to continue selling as a retail space to our customers. And our customers came through and supported us, and it really helped us make it all the way through. To have 4 staff stay with us through that whole period of time.
That's awesome.
And that was also a huge thing when you saw people come out of COVID, that realm where we were able to be open again. A lot of them had no staff. They had to let everybody go.
Retrain. I mean, even finding those staff members, is incredible.
Exactly. A lot of those folks weren't able to come back because they had either moved or got other jobs. In our case, we had 4 people that were able to step right back into it. And
that's great.
We were able to backfill with some other folks, and we've just kind of kept moving.
Yeah. Well, the takeaway for me from that is just that I don't know if it was like this instinctive vision you had to be ahead of the game or what it was. I mean, you can comment on that a little bit, but definitely that was a benefit for you to have already created that opportunity. And so, a lot of places we know there's a little place down in Carrollton we used to go to called, I think, 54 Degrees. And I don't think they had that opportunity. He's nodding. And, when COVID ended, guess what also ended? That place was closed up. They just didn't make that pivot at all. So what a great story of survival, but also kind of that entrepreneurial spirit. Something special about that.
And there's a lot of the Texas wineries have opened up during the COVID time and still stayed open. Like for example, Firelight was one of them, and Deshane. Both of them opened up during COVID, and they were able to keep their doors open, that just says a lot about their winery,
Right.
Well, perseverance, grit. I love that word, grit, Grit. You need to read that book, by the way. It's a great book. It's about 700 pages. No, not True Grit, just grit. But anyway, that's pretty cool. So I wanted you to tell a story because I think it's just, indicative of true entrepreneurs and people who just, you said something earlier in this podcast, actually, that you kind of jumped in with 2 feet. I think you and your wife just said, let's just do this. There's no second guessing, no plan B. You're going to burn the bridge, burn the boats, right? You jumped in. And so that has to be part of that perseverance and determination. Stick it out, man.
Yep.
Despite pandemics, right?
Yeah.
So
So
well, cool. We'll shift gears one more time. I have a really fun question. I think this is Steve's wheelhouse here. Are you a baseball fan at all? I'm tossing you a softball here, right here.
I hope I can handle it.
I don't even
Oh,
think it's a
baby.
softball. I think it's one of those plastic
We'll
wiffle balls.
Watch him smile when I ask him about this. One of the coolest things about your wine bar is the music scene. And see, watch him smile. And you have done a splendid job. I was on your website today looking. In fact, I wrote down some notes here. In the next month, you have Irish music, you have jazz, and you have blues just in the next month. You're not smiling yet.
No, it's just in the next week or so.
The next week or so. Go ahead, Will.
I know the couple times I've been here,
Yes.
they've had Irish folk singers in here, and
Yes.
players. And at first, when I sat down, I was like, "What am I listening to here?"
Okay. Yeah.
And I stopped and listened to it because I'm Irish, and I listened to it and I was like, "Oh, this is from the motherland."
The motherland. There you go. Well, let's describe the scene here real quick. So we're sitting at a table, kind of mid bar here, mid tasting room area here, but you have a great scene for a band. And so several times, my wife and I've been here now 6 times. Today's the 6th time I've been here, or maybe the 7th. And there's been music almost every single time. Now you come from a musical background. I believe it was the trumpet, even though my wife the last time thought was the trombone. That is not a trumpet, by the way. And tell us about how proud you are. And again, this goes back, I apologize, listeners, to a story Steve told me 2 weeks ago. But you actually helped a lot of the musicians thrive during some tough times, but also you have displayed an amazing venue for musicians. Can you really elaborate on that really special part of this wine bar?
That's
You're not smiling yet.
That's a touchy subject for him.
You're and I didn't mean to bring up that. You told us a
That's all
great
right.
emotional story once, but yeah, it's pretty cool what you've done.
You know, you think about when we first started, one of the reasons why we had to move to the bigger location was that had an acquaintance who became a very good friend of mine that had a bass player, also from Wisconsin. Didn't know him in Wisconsin, but he was here at North Texas, and he's a professional gigging musician, and he had been playing at a little coffee shop on Wednesday nights, and that coffee shop was closing. And I just decided to show up and invite him to come and drink some wine and talk about a wine bar that I'm opening. And would he like to come and move his Wednesday night gig over to my place? And, I'm looking at my wall here, and I've got this great picture of Jeffrey Eccles here on the wall.
Yeah, and this is a little emotional for Steve because they built such a tremendous relationship. So,
Yeah, and we start talking about what we did with music during COVID, but it kind of led up to this situation where we had just Jeffrey and Sergio on piano playing, and they would draw a nice little crowd. And then it went from one night to 2 nights a week in the old location, and then it went from duos to trios to quartets to all sorts of different things, and that really put us in a position to move to a larger location. So fast forward, we've got amazing music happening here. We've
Yes.
got quintets and sextet, groups coming in here and playing, singing, fantastic stuff. And then COVID hits. And during COVID, at the very beginning, Jeffrey would bring in a different piano player or a guitar player, and we set up our tasting room, which I'm pointing to.
right.
We had literally in February that year, we had just bought a baby grand piano for the bar here.
Okay.
And so we rolled that back into the tasting room, and we made it a little studio. And so Jeffrey would come in with a different musician, and we would live stream it on Facebook. And
Nice.
we put out there where people could donate to his cause, because he is
So
a gigging
cool.
musician.
Right.
The only way he made money was playing the instrument. So people would log on, they'd drop him $100 or $50 or $5 or whatever the case was. So it was very helpful for those people that he brought in, because he was always looking for musicians that needed the help. Now, fast forward to that July, and just through several life situations, unfortunately, he passed away. And the head of the American Federation of Musicians lives here in Denton, Texas.
Okay.
And he came to me because he had known Jeffrey, and then he had 2 or 3 other people reach out to him and said, "Hey, I'm not doing well. I'm thinking about committing suicide. I need something." And so Ray Hare comes to me and says, hey, can I use your place to do live streaming? I want to pay bands. I have got a bunch of money sitting in a fund, and I want to figure out a way to get it in their hands. And so we started a Wednesday night live stream program where we would have 2 bands that would come in, and they would play for an hour and take a break. The next band would set up, and then they'd play for an hour, and they got paid full rate from the union through this fund. And we had so many amazing musicians come through the bar and play during that period of time. I got to know a lot of them. Some of them I already knew, but it was a really special, just a special thing that we could do.
Well, and that's one of the reasons you have so much technology around here, which you had mentioned to me beforehand too. But you are totally set up for a technological, a power wave here. And that's because of that shift you made. And am I pointing at where you had the live stream? Is that where that happened right over here?
The stage, yeah.
You have the stage area right over here, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so lots of people put into that. And those musicians survived because of some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, survived financially, right? Because of some of those great adjustments that you made.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And it is interesting you talk about the technology. When the guy that they had hired to come in and broadcast all of that, he'd come in with a full-on studio, 3 monitors, a big mixing board,
yes.
Multiple cameras that he would be moving around. And, it was really high tech, really high quality stuff. And as we got closer and closer to March of 2021, where the word was getting out that, hey, we're going to be able to reopen, I told them, you need to consolidate. So he did consolidate it down to 1 monitor and 1 rolling device. And, but the problem was he was still moving cameras around. We couldn't really do a whole lot with that in the space and give our customers the experience of drinking wine and the live music. So ultimately, he and I, Ken and I, crafted this little black box that's back here that's got a high-tech digital mixer in there and black box video splitters, so we can do multiple cameras and do full-on digital recordings and live streaming. So yeah, we're set up to do a lot of cool stuff.
Is that part of the future as well? Part of your vision is to continue to bring those bands in here and showcase and live stream. Is that all still part of the package for these musicians?
We do it all the time. We don't always live stream. It really depends on what the musicians are playing and what they want to do. A lot of times, if they're doing their original music, they absolutely want to get it out there. And
that's a great idea.
Those recordings, unless the musicians tell me to take them down, I just leave them up on our Facebook page, Steve's Wine Bar Facebook page, so people can go back and watch them.
So
just leave them up there. Go ahead.
As much as I love Fuzzy's Tacos, when are you going to take over their place now?
Expansion, a full stage, 500 people.
It is interesting. I keep people last night, we were packed. We were packed for a band called Fingerprints, and everybody's kept asking me, when are you going to blow down the wall and take over the next place next door? I go, yeah, it's not going to happen.
I mean, you guess you could always go up.
Yeah. If I owned the building, I would consider doing that. Actually, a lot of people have said it'd be really cool if you had a rooftop.
It would be.
Wine area, and I said, yeah, I've already priced it. It's out of my price range. If I own the building, I totally do it. But,
Right. Yeah, a little Beatlemania up on the rooftop with some musicians up there. It'd be a lot of fun. That's cool.
Well, it's awesome that you do that for the musicians.
Yeah, it's great. For the community.
Yeah, for the community. I mean, it's just awesome that you do that, and that's kind of crazy because everybody that's in the wine industry does something like that for somebody.
Right.
And that's probably one of the reasons why I love the Texas wine community. That's in fact, that's one of the huge reasons why I love the Texas wine community, because everybody has helped somebody out during some sort of time of crisis. And we've never seen anybody that did not do anything like that.
No, it's cool. We're loving that about everyone. This is episode 28. Everyone we've met, there's a cooperation. There's an excitement. We want people to win across the board. We want Steve's Wine Bar to win, especially for this community here in Denton. It's just awesome to have this displayed here. But really, it's kind of a cool experiment in Texas to watch what's happening with the momentum with Texas wines, but also with the good people who are helping to showcase those wines and obviously, showcase music as well, which is pretty cool. Awesome. Well, I do have one more very, very important question, and that is your vision. Steve, we just talked about, going up and taking out walls, but you've built something pretty impactful here in Denton. My wife and I love coming here. What is kind of your vision next few years in terms of what you want to do? Are you going to expand, new location? Are you really happy here and you have great staff? What is your vision for the next few years?
Well, we have, again, go back to prior to COVID, there was a location that's going to be built, still is planning to be built. Ground hasn't been broken yet on it, but it's going to be a multi-purpose facility, apartments, probably condos. It's in an area that has a lot of residential around it, but it's going to be restaurants, and it's going to bring a lot of opportunity to an area that is really lacking. And I had originally proposed that we would be part of that, and I keep thinking I want to be part of it. And we had planned on, they had actually planned on being open, available for us to open in 2021.
Okay.
But of course, when everything happened, it just all went on the back burner. So the vision is that this location here, the way I tell people, is that this is going to be the heartbeat of whatever happens. This will always be what we do. Wine club, live music, so on and so forth. But I do have a vision where there could be multiple locations, but they'd be more neighborhood focused wine bars.
Well, that's kind of who you are as I get to know you a little bit. I wrote down a note earlier. I meant to get to it, but kind of your persona, kind of your attitude is very friendly. You walk in here, there's an open arm policy, a big hugs, high fives, a glass of wine.
Yep.
And so because you and Karen have created that atmosphere and that philosophy, I can imagine if you did expand, it would still be that neighborhoods type of aura, right? That's what you're trying to create here, that culture.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I just, people are intrigued by wine, and I think there's this wave of people wanting to try new things. We've seen it where as more and more of my vendors are bringing us organic wines, natural wines or natty wines from all over the world. There is interest there, but there's still a lot of people that don't understand it. I'm not saying I am going to be the natty wine guru.
There you go. All right.
But I tell you what, we'll have some cool sparkling natural wines. We'll have, right now we've got a cool Serbian Pinot Noir that's natural that we're serving. And so, yeah, it's really fun to have all of these, opportunities and maybe bring some of that to other parts of the DFW area and small.
That's cool.
Bars.
Well, it sounds like you're open-minded to opportunities in the future, and that makes me happy because what you've done here is pretty cool. So I promised you, Steve, I wouldn't throw you under the bus. All right. So this is about as close to as I'm going to get, my friend. All right. You ready? Oh, you got something first?
Wait a minute. The last time we did something like throw something under the bus,
yes,
somebody under the
you
bus,
had to edit.
We had to edit it. So
this is not a tough question, though.
Okay, because
it's a beautiful question.
Flashback to Bingham.
I know Bingham. Yes. So
is this something that I have to watch my language?
No. No, I think this is a beautiful thing.
I mean, as long as you don't drop the F-bomb, we're okay.
Yeah, we bleep it out. I'm intrigued by your answer here, though. So we are called We Know Texas Vino, and there's a reason for that. We really love Texas wines. What we discovered, Will and I, as we got to know each other as friends just a year and a half ago, is that we were kind of like, okay, we like a couple wines here in Texas. And what we've experienced is this nirvana, this amazing life-changing moment in our short lives, that there are many great wines in Texas, and they are winning awards in California. They are winning awards in New York and Virginia. They are winning awards in Europe. The history of Texas wines with how we saved the vineyards in France and Italy, right? There's a whole story there as well. Texas is doing something special. Steve, you have a great place here, and so it's not a negative thing. It's a beautiful thing. What is your vision for continuing to showcase Texas wines? And are you going to intentionally look at, especially we just talked pre-game about some of the cool vineyards up the road over in St. Joe and all these areas. What is kind of your philosophy now? Because you have such a awesome business model, but it is vast, and very few people can handle that vast responsibility.
Yep.
What is your responsibility towards the Texas scene? And you want to finish up with that question?
Yeah, I want to add a little extra caveat to that.
Caveat.
Do you ever plan on switching, doing half like California, half Texas wine also?
Define what you're asking me a little further.
So just adding on to what he was asking and just
Big
say,
question.
would you switch to you got Texas wine on one side of the room or one side of your wine room and the other, Texas on the other side. So you have the two different contrasts of the different wines.
So we're digging deep to the philosophy here.
We're getting hard.
Deep. So
there's only one right answer here, by the way.
No,
I know what the right answer is from your perspective.
Right.
No.
There's another answer.
There you go.
And I'll be,
No, it's okay.
This may be brutally honest, but
that's okay.
The fact of the matter is that there are some great Texas wines out there. A lot of the wineries that are making great Texas wines aren't distributing.
Mhm.
I can't get my hands on it.
True.
It's
Fair
only
enough.
for wine club members.
Yep.
It's only direct to consumer. I can't sell that. Now, what I would hope to see, and I've had some conversations with a few wineries and winemakers, that there is a push right now, and it may not be a broad push, but it's a push within Texas winemakers to create more, what I'll say, price appropriate
Okay.
wines to go into the general market.
Mhm.
Because one of my challenges is that if I go buy a wine that I will sell, I'll say I'm going to sell a Napa Cab here at $60. And then I'm going to, that's actually a great price, by the way. But right alongside of that, I'm selling a Texas Tempranillo for $60. I can't sell it any lower because of the cost to me.
Right.
So it's now competing price point wise with a Napa Cab. So there's perception.
Mhm.
So where our goal, or what our goal is to help change that perception. Why would somebody choose a $60 Tempranillo over a $60 bottle of Napa Cab?
Okay.
So that's the beauty of our wine club. So my goal right now with our wine club is we bring in 8 wines from all over the world. My goal is every single month is to have a Texas wine on that club. So it's not going to be like we're going to inundate
Right.
Steve's Wine Bar with Texas wine, but if we do our job well, we'll find those wines that go really well in our environment,
Mhm.
keep it on, and serve it by the glass. People can come back and buy it by the bottle. We'll maybe even find some wineries that we can expand upon and maybe bring in some extra wines. We've done that with a couple of the wineries here in the area, with Arcade, with Edge of the Lake, with Eden Hill. Those are just a few
Mhm.
that we
Good
go
wineries.
We know them all.
to purchase wine and resell here in the bar. But we've also, of course, picked up wines through distribution. William Chris has got some amazing
Mhm.
wines. We've got the Skeleton Key Cab on right now on our wine club. We've had, oh my gosh, you just go right down the list, and there's been a lot of really cool wines we've been able to get. But one of the big challenges we face in a retail environment, and specifically in our environment, is when you've got so many great wines sitting side by side by side by side, how do you pick? Why would you pick the Texas Tempranillo over a really great French wine or a really great California wine or whatever? So that's my job.
Yeah.
That's my job, is to help educate the people on why that wine sits on my shelf at $60 and it compares well with these other wines.
Well, knowing your business model and getting to know you, that was actually the correct answer.
Yeah,
Will. that was a great
That was
answer.
the correct answer I was actually looking for.
Yeah.
I wasn't giving you a hard time saying you had to pick Texas wine and all
Yeah.
that. That was the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
to get
glad.
back to my original vision, my love of wine did take me down that path of wanting to really share the Texas wine world here in the DFW area, because I couldn't tell you how many people I talked to that had, first off, they never go to Fredericksburg.
Right.
They never go down. They never think about it. If they're going to hop on a plane or they want to go travel to a wine country, Napa, Sonoma,
Sure.
Mhm.
Paso, going out to going to Europe, whatever. And that's what blows me away. It's like, hey, we're just 5 hours away in a car
Not
from
even
the third busiest wine area
Mhm.
in the country.
Yeah.
and not even that. Literally in your backyard over here at St.
Oh, yeah.
Joe and
Yeah.
Munster.
Things are really growing.
And off of, was it Highway 82? Going from Gainesville to over to Denison. You've got wineries all through there and stuff. There's such a great what's what I'm looking for?
Genre.
Vast.
There's vast. I mean,
Vast
it's just
of
huge.
wineries here in Texas, just in the North Texas area. We're not even talking about Fredericksburg. Of course, when you get to Fredericksburg, you're going to talk about 290 all the way from Austin all the way over to Kerrville. Trying
Phenomenal.
to get to every one of those is like it's going to
My
take a
goal is
couple
to do
weeks.
everyone in one day.
So, right quick, Michael,
Go ahead.
can you tell everybody what we're drinking right now?
Yep. So right now we just broke into a Cab Franc from Lost Oak, and we love Roxanne over there. We've done a podcast
Hey,
there. And
Roxanne.
it's hey Roxanne, and it's just fantastic. So Steve's about ready to try it. I've been drinking it for about 10 minutes, but yeah, it's fantastic. So we're
10
excited to
minutes or 10
showcase that
months?
wine. Pardon?
10 minutes or 10 months?
10. Well, I've been drinking for 10 months, but I've been drinking it just today for the last 10 minutes. But well, let's kind of wrap it up here real quick, Steve. And as you enjoy that Lost Oak Cab Franc, how can people reach out to you, not only from a social media point of view, but your physical location? I think it's an interesting physical location. You had mentioned one block off of the historic downtown. But in addition to that, to maybe elaborate on that wine club, which we think is pretty cool. And then luxury pour, I typed in as well. That's kind of cool. So there's a lot on your plate real quick, but maybe kind of wrap it up with how people find Steve's Wine Bar.
Well, as you mentioned, digitally, we've got our own website, steveswinebar.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're out there. Physically, we are literally a block east of downtown on the square, not downtown, but the square in downtown Denton. And I've deemed this little area we're in the Industrial Street Entertainment District, because we've got
I like that.
restaurants here. We decided not to be a restaurant, not to provide food, because we've got so many cool places right around us. We're a bring your own food place. So whether you want to craft something at home and bring it in when you're drinking wine, or you want to kind of connect with one of our local restaurateurs and have them bring food over for you, a lot of them will deliver right into here. That's what we're all about. We've got a couple other places right within our block radius that does live music, like ourselves. So a lot of cool stuff going on right here in our little neck of the woods. We are literally on Industrial Street, 111 Industrial Street. It's a center of a building that used to be a feed store back in the early 1900s. So it is an old building, lots of history to it. And we chose, when we moved over here, to kind of keep it that industrial feel. We didn't fancify it. We didn't make it all high-end wine tasting room or wine bar type of feeling. It really is just a really cool, relaxed industrial feel when you come in.
Wine club, and then your luxury pour.
So wine club. That actually has been a big part of our business from day one. We had this vision to have a monthly wine club. We jokingly say it's like your gym membership. You use it or lose it. You show up and you taste wine, and you get to take bottles home with you. We've got two different levels. One's a platinum club. The other's a gold. Both of them are $100 or less. And you get to come in anytime you want during the month, taste your wines, and then take whichever bottle or two that you like the best home with you as part of the club membership.
Very creative.
You also get discounts on your bottles that you're buying, special events. We've got a big wine tasting coming up on July 13th, and our club members are getting half price on that. So just a lot of cool stuff along the wine club side of things. The luxury pours is brand new. We actually were in St. Paul and went to a high-end restaurant, and they had just started this program with the Core event, where they called it the luxury pours, and they were taking higher-end wines that you would not normally pour by the glass, and they pour it by the ounce. So in this situation, we can take a $150 bottle or $300 bottle of wine, and we price it out by the ounce, and somebody can come in and say, I want to try that, I'm not even going to throw names out there right now, but some of these higher-end wines, I've never had a chance to do it, and I want to pay $15 for 1 ounce. Or
I like that.
Yeah, so we've got 5 wines. We'll probably do 5 or 6 wines a month where we offer luxury pours for people to try different styles of wines, Chateau de Pop, high-end Cabernets. We've got a really high-end red blend from Walla Walla, Washington. Things that you don't normally think about, and it's just a lot of fun.
Interesting.
That's really cool. Well, I appreciate that. Well, Steve, this is your opportunity now. Anything else you want to showcase about your awesome location here, your staff, your future, anything? What would you like to showcase here to wrap it up?
My gosh. You talk about the staff. That's probably the thing that I just love about what we've got going on here. Everybody's super casual, but they're so dedicated to learning the wine. We sit down once a month and learn all the wine club wines, so our staff really knows how to present it. They are dedicated to learning all of the process, so that when the customers come in, they get an exceptional experience. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to restaurants or bars and I ask for a wine and they go, "What do you want, red or white?"
Oh no.
Yeah.
And there have been those situations. I go to a wine bar and they tell me, "Yeah, we got a Cabernet Malbec." Well, can you tell me where the Cabernet Malbec is from? California or whatever, Argentina. Right. Can you be more specific?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's like, oh my gosh, how do you not know?
Right.
So that's something we really focus on, making sure that our team can communicate the experience you're going to have in your glass as you're smelling, tasting, and enjoying it with your friends.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the last 2 times Erica and I were here, we bumped into Kendra, is that a young lady who works here? Kendra, and she was super fun and super knowledgeable and knew everything, and she was a super cool sweetheart. She's only about 4'6", but yeah, she's a tiny little thing. So, well, I appreciate you, Steve, very much. So we're gonna take a little break, then we're gonna do a little educational portion here real quick. But Will, anything you want to wrap up here before we head to education?
No, I think we're good. I mean,
Well, I think we should at least acknowledge our great friend Jen, who is not here today, who generally does our education portion for us.
hey, Jen, how's
We
it
miss
going?
you, Jen. Glad you're studying. Glad you're staying out of trouble. And tell your husband to stay out of trouble as well. He's a big time troublemaker. So, yes. Well, we'll be back in a moment, Will, and do some education.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Hey, this is Jeff Coe from TexasWineLover.com. We're here with Will, Michael, and Jen from We Know Texas Vino.
And this is Amy Nemec with the Texas Wine Lover mobile app. We're wrapping up the interview and moving into the wine education portion of the episode, so stick with us.
Welcome back, everyone, to We Know Texas Vino. We're here doing some education with Will, who's going to, I guess, facilitate that today with Steve. And it's a real fun question, isn't it?
Yeah,
Our
this is-
educational topic. It's going to be simple
It's simple.
and like elementary, but people ask all the time.
This is actually one of the biggest things in the wine community about these 2 grapes and 2 varietals, and that is Syrah and Shiraz.
Shiraz, they sometimes pronounce it. I've heard it all different.
There's so many different places out there I'll listen to and read. They're all talking about these 2 grapes, and they're like, well, they're the same grape, but they're
That's the
different
question.
grape.
And maybe Steve from Steve's Wine Bar can answer that for us today. So go ahead, Will, take it off.
So, Steve, tell us, what is the difference between Shiraz and Shiraz?
The spelling.
The
Now,
spelling,
you can't steal
that's
that from your
correct.
employee.
I
Dean.
totally stole it from
Dean,
you.
yep.
Totally stole it. Yes. Now you think about the well, back up. You'd said the fact that, hey, I am not a sommelier. I'm not all trained, and I specifically have decided not to do that. But when you think about the history of Syrah and Shiraz, Syrah is something you originated out of France, and it is proliferated around the world as Syrah. But in the Southern Hemisphere, and specifically in Australia, but you'll find it in other places, you'll see Shiraz or Shiraz. It depends on how sophisticated you want to make it sound. But the fact of the matter is, from all my understanding, it is essentially the same genetic grape, just where it's grown and the hemisphere it's in.
Right.
I don't ever see or have heard of Shiraz being grown in the northern hemisphere, but you know what? That dynamic may be changing. Who knows? There's all sorts of cool stuff happening around the world, and we might start seeing Shiraz here in Texas.
It seems like I've seen one bottle somewhere. I think it was from actually Washington State that said Shiraz on it.
You got one right in front of you.
And there's just the one right here. Okay, so the one from Texas.
Yeah,
I have got my
Lost Oak.
glasses on. So.
What are we looking at?
Yeah, the one from Lost Oak is Shiraz.
Oh, there you go.
No, really?
Uh-huh.
We're all dumbfounded here.
Okay, I see something completely different on here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're drinking.
I was going to say, the spelling is Cab Franc.
Okay, so
It is
I'm sorry
Yeah,
about that.
yeah,
Because,
but
yesterday I
I
went to pick up
ordered
some bottles.
when you went down
I ordered
there.
some bottles I went to pick
So
up.
Shiraz.
Yeah, so Lost Oak has a Shiraz bottle.
Interesting.
They were just out of it, and my brain just kind of like went off into left field, and I thought that's what we had sitting
Right.
here.
I was
Yeah.
thinking that maybe Roxanne, who's a troublemaker, probably did that
tricker.
intentionally just to get people talking about it. But yeah,
I
you
think
cracked
so
me up,
too.
Will. You intentionally brought this Cab Franc. You wanted me. Yeah, okay.
That's right. I was going to say, that's a really
Weird spelling.
interesting-
Weird spelling.
So, I'm going to read straight from a viticulture
Perfect.
website here. So it says the most basic difference between Syrah and Shiraz is where they're from. Basically what you just said.
Yeah.
Syrah is from France and Shiraz is from Australia. France is both the spiritual and the literal homeland of Syrah grapes. So the genetic testing between the Syrah is the love child of 2 French grapes, Duraz and the Mondus Blanc. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So Syrah is a definition a French grape through and through. However, it was brought to the land down under in the 19th century by James Busby, a Scottish viticulture who often refers to as the father of Australian viticulture,
Interesting.
and has been a major part of the Australian wine industry ever since.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was talking in between our podcast here that I was a Greg Norman fan, as a golfer, of course, the White Shark. And of course, he bought a winery back in the 80s. And so I've been drinking his wine forever. And he has a great Shiraz, basically, that I've enjoyed for many, many years. But cool. So I think we figured it out. other than
Yeah.
Dean, who's walking around here, told us it might have a Middle Eastern connection as well. So for all of our listeners, let's make sure you're researching that properly. Let's figure out where that
Yeah.
word comes from,
But
right?
I mean, that's the whole reason of this podcast is to teach and to educate and to learn.
Yep.
Because you, Michael,
Yep.
may know something that I don't know,
Right.
And Steve, you may know something that I don't know, and vice versa. And that's what this whole podcast is about: is
Yeah.
to educate and to learn.
and to showcase great places like Steve's Wine
Yes.
Bar and Steve and Karen. We're grateful, sir. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
what you've
thank you
done
for
here.
having us out.
Thanks for having us.
I have one more question. What days of the week are you open so our listeners can come see you?
It's just easier to say the only day we're closed is Monday.
Okay, Monday. There you
I
go.
was going to
Monday's
say they
closed.
ended with a Y.
Well, they're open every day with a Y except for Monday, right? We'll go. Well, real quick takeaways, Will. This is a fun episode. Episode number 28. What's your takeaway from today?
The takeaway is that no matter what your situation is, you can always open up in a wine bar. Because you and I both you done technology. I'm in technology also. And technology, even though as great as it is, it always finds a way to weed out people. Never fails. And that's the same reason why I'm getting into the wine industry as well, is because as long as man wants to drink, wine's always going to be around.
Wine's a I have a couple quotes today that are going to basically validate that philosophy for you, okay, sir? And my takeaway is real simple. We're never amazed anymore. I'm just not even amazed at the great people who are in this industry. And Steve, I appreciate you and your wife so much, and your staff. They're great. But to me, there's just something about resiliency and just entrepreneurship, and something about just loving what you're doing. And it's pretty obvious that Steve loves what he's doing now.
Oh, yeah.
And that's based on my experiences here beforehand, and of course today. But if you love something you're passionate about, you're going to be wholehearted and just totally genuine when you meet with people, and you want people to win. But I really sense a really great culture here, Steve. You've done a great job, and
Yeah.
I'm really, really impressed and proud. I think you're doing a wonderful job here. So that's my takeaway for the day.
Yeah.
But appreciate you, brother.
You did an awesome
Thank you.
job.
You're doing good. So a couple quotes for the week. I have 3. Oh, go ahead.
Well, we got to do our thing for our stuff.
Okay,
Go
go ahead.
before
Yeah.
you do your quotes and stuff.
Okay,
So,
well.
our listeners can find us on WeKnowTexasVino.wine now.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for doing that, Mr.
It's
Will.
a great website. By the way, if you don't know about it, you can get the .wine domain now. So, stevewinesbar.wine.
That would be pretty good on wine.
I did not realize that.
I did not know that until our Jen told us that they had Bingham.wine.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is I'm been
Way
in
too
IT.
cool.
I
And
better
I've
jump on that because I know somebody's going to want to steal that.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Someone will. And they want you to buy it from them.
and then 2 is you can also find us on Facebook at We Know Texas Vino.
Yes.
And then you can find us on any major broadcasting application.
And for our listeners, get us a 5-star rating. Let's get us in that
Yes.
top 100. We're hovering like 101 right now, so we want to be a top 100. And really, after this year, we'd love to be top 50 in the entire country. So that'd be cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, a couple quotes for the week. Then we'll wrap this up today. And again, we're very grateful for this opportunity to be here today. But my quotes, I did 3 today because 2 of them are really short. Okay.
What?
This one is for Will. Okay. The first one, the quote is, "Let's drink wine and judge people." I like that one a lot.
wait, hold on. I don't judge people at
You
all.
don't. You're one of the nicest
Look
men
at that
I know.
short guy
Yeah.
right there.
And then the second one is actually for Steve. I had only 2, but when I was preparing for today, I found this quote and I thought of Steve, and that is, "Wine is the passport to the world." Isn't that a fun quote for
That
Steve
is.
and Karen? You know what they're doing here? And the
Yeah.
last one is a fun one. So you must drink 20 glasses of orange juice and 7 glasses of apple juice to get the same amount of antioxidants as 1 glass of wine. So here's to your health. There you go. Cheers,
Cheers.
everybody.
Cheers.
Yahoo. This is Michael.
This is Will.
Cheers. And Steve.